Hello and welcome back. This is our third video in the CDS High School Self-Efficacy series. And today, the topic is jet engines and today the topic is grit, inspired by the work of Angela Lee Duckworth. You might not have thought about this, but in the process of making these videos, I've actually learned a whole lot about these things. And grit is the thing that has influenced me the most, that I've actually changed how I try to do things based on what I learned in studying grit. So hopefully it will have a similarly strong impact on you. Let's get started. Whoa, we went to the end. Because a lot of these videos are about trying to get someplace, trying to get to success. And we have this soccer ball hitting the back of the net. And that's kind of an image, a clear image of success, when you actually get to the place that you've been trying to go to. And this particular presentation talks about how do we put together some of the things we've already talked about, and how do we actually use them in our lives so that we get to the place that we want to go. Let's go back a little bit and see how we get here. So we've talked about this a lot already, how to succeed. One of the things we talked about was about our mindset, about how we have to understand that our brain is like a muscle, that we can work it out and improve it, and that if we have that growth mindset, we can learn from our mistakes instead of being discouraged from them. And that's incredibly important. And we've also talked about practice and expert behavior, how even geniuses like Mozart had to work every day for years, in Mozart's case 12 years, before really becoming masters of the task that they're performing. And that's true for us too. If we want to master something, we have to practice continuously. But knowing what to do is not the same as doing it. And in fact, just understanding, oh yes, I must practice the violin for 12 years before I can be a master violin player, does not suddenly make you a master violin player. And even letting those 12 years go by won't do it either. We have to actually continually practice every day for that whole period of time. And that's difficult. In fact, that brings us to our next point, which is that there's one factor, one thing, that predicts success more than anything else. And this works, say, at West Point, one of the premier military academies in the United States, where the first year especially is incredibly difficult for new recruits. Many of them drop out. But this factor does a great job at predicting who will stay to the end, who will graduate. It also helps predict who will do well at competitions like the National Spelling Bee in the United States. Once again, this is incredibly difficult competition where students get knocked out at many rounds, and this one factor helps predict which students will go all the way. And finally, perhaps most important for us, is this also predicts success in high school. Specifically, when Duckworth, who inspired this presentation, studied high school juniors in Chicago urban schools, this one factor was the best predictor of whether or not they graduated from high school. What is the factor? It is grit. Grit is a word that Duckworth and her team actually coined, but traditionally has meant, that factor of keeping it up, keeping it going. And grit means, for our purposes, it means you keep going, even when it's hard, or you make mistakes, or you feel like doing something else, or your friends give up and leave you to do it on your own, or even when it's boring. Grit is something that I think that everybody has to some degree, more or less. And it's that feeling when you say, I'm frustrated, I don't like this, but I'm going to try one more time. It's when, even though yesterday's practice session felt bad, you're still back there today working hard. It's when, even though you get busy and miss a day, you keep going the next day and the next day after that. That's grit. The idea that you keep going for long periods of time, like Mozart practicing every day for 12 years, or Thomas Edison not giving up when his light bulbs break. And it comes back to something that you may have heard before, which is that in life, it's not a sprint. It's not about how you do tomorrow or the day after that. It's a marathon. It's about how you do every day, how you keep going and fighting your way to the end. That what brings you to success, what brings you to that ball in the back of the net that we saw at the beginning, is what you do each day, not what you do on any one day. So practicing really, really hard today and doing nothing for the rest of the week gets you nowhere. But practicing hard for a short period of time every day gets you further, a little bit further down on your goal. And it kind of connects to this quotation from Theodore Roosevelt, which is that nothing in the world is worth having or worth doing unless it means effort and pain and difficulty. Because, he said, I have never in my life envied a human being who led an easy life. I have envied a great many people who have led difficult lives and led them well. And think about that. Do you think that the people who we respect and we adore and we recognize as successful people, which of them has led easy lives? Those people have struggled and worked hard to get to where they are. And if we want to get where we want to go, we need to do the same. We need to display grit each day and not give up when things are hard or tough or boring or no one else is doing them. We need to double down and keep working hard. But that leaves us with a question, and the question that we will take up in our next and last of these self-efficacy videos, which is, what is our success going to be? What is our goal? Think about that. Because hopefully with these first 3 videos, we've given you some of the tools that you need to succeed. But you still need to decide where you want to go. Thank you very much, and I'll see you next time.